All right, all y'all. We're gonna see if we can make this work. A good friend of mine and I were trying to do a live right now, and we're gonna see if she can join, and we'll roll. Let's see what happens. Ah, look at
It worked.
that. Hey, it must be a Canada thing. I'm guessing. Maybe it's because I guess in Olympics the women just I guess I didn't know this, but the U.S., what doesn't happen very often, beat Canada in the at hockey.
I heard right
So
at the
my
last
wife told me
minute.
that. So, but we won't talk about that because I know
Thank you.
Canada is
Thank you.
amazing at hockey, and they always will be. So, um,
Having a rough night.
yeah, I know that's crazy. But it's super excited to be here with you. I know we've done
Yeah,
this before, but like,
yeah.
and by the way, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
That's super
I thought this
exciting.
would be a fun topic.
Yeah.
Given turning 40, talking about anti-aging, I thought it was a good week for it.
Now she's turning 40. I'm well past that. Just so you all know. Yeah, like just like maybe key us up a little bit. And I know, and I love that you want to do this because I mean, one thing for a guy to talk about menopause and
Yeah,
perimenopause, and as a clinician, like I know I work with that a lot,
yeah,
but I can't say I know what it feels like exactly, right?
yeah,
So I'm married and I'm watching a lot of women go through that process, but like
yeah,
I love that you want to talk about what you're feeling, what you're experiencing, and also like ways to maybe guide women through that process. So just
yeah.
grateful to be part of this with you.
Yeah. I'm so glad you're here. You've got so much knowledge and expertise. So I'm thrilled that I get to pick your brain tonight. This is so exciting.
Oh, this will be fun. And I,
Yeah.
again, I know your little one is awesome. She's so amazing. But kind of maybe kind of talk about some of the things that are key on your mind right now. I know
Yeah.
as a husband and a father,
Yeah.
and a clinician, I've been in the practice like 26 years. Like I've watched women go through this process for a lot of years, and men go through. A lady came and says, "Yeah, my husband goes through menopause right now." So guys do go through it, right?
Yeah.
But I know that women experience that, and there's some pretty funny reels out there. I got to admit
There
about
are.
my wife will send them occasionally about the different things that she feels throughout the month. And
Yeah.
as a guy, sometimes it's like, okay, I don't understand it. Like I'm not living it, but I am. But on the other side, so I love that you coach women through the process of from when they're young to infertility to
Yeah.
or infertility into like having babies, but then even past that, like helping them kind of gravitate or naturally go through this process of healthy perimenopause into um, other stages of life. So yeah, let's
Yeah.
talk through it.
Yeah. It's a different perspective now that I'm in it. Right? Going clinically or symptom-wise with people for many years, but then you enter it and you go, oh, I get what they're saying, right? Things just change. It's not like, right, you've wildly changed your diet or massively changed your exercise routine, right? You're in the thick of it, right? Most likely this is prime kid time, right? This stage could be littles or it could be teenagers, right? This is also a stage where you've got parents that might be aging. You've got demands of a household, a family, social norms, right? Let's be real. Some of those things are hard to keep up with. A career in all of it. So it's a lot all at once, and it kind of hits that late 30s, early to mid 40s.
I love that you brought that up because I am watching myself go through this process right now, and I'm 51, gonna be 52 this year, and our youngest is 18. I have older kids, 26 down to 18, and he leaves this year after graduate high school for church mission, and then ideally you watch your parents go through this process of getting older and different process there. So it's kind of interesting that you mentioned that, and those are natural demands on us,
Yeah.
but how that affects you physiology wise and how we feel it, but also how we experience it. I think that's super important to talk about.
Yeah, it changes how your adrenals function. It's changing how your cortisol is pumping during the day, right? Which is affecting your insulin sensitivity. So the food that you ate when you were 28 probably isn't going to get you the same results at 42.
Mm.
Right, I've got people that will say, if I cut out snacking a little bit, I used to lose the weight, right? Or if I just got a little bit more active, my energy would come back, right? And they're using those same strategies now and going, I'm gaining, right? Or I work out and I'm now exhausted. I don't
Mm.
get the same energy from it. So something has changed. So what's changing? What's changing? Later 30s, early 40s.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned I'm doing a training tomorrow for doctors, and we're talking about stress and how it affects people, and the cortisol and insulin is two of the key components, and testosterone. We're talking about all these things about
Yeah.
what can affect us, and obviously this different stage of life does. And I love that you brought that up. So, what are you having people do
Mhm.
at this phase of life? And this just we'll talk about kind of this perimenopause, and it can be like late 30s ish, mid
Yeah.
30s, and some people hit it sooner because of like chemical menopause or
Yeah.
even surgeries. I've seen people
Yeah.
like have to go into menopause because of going through cancer treatment.
Yeah.
Um,
I I'll
so what are
even
some?
see like later pregnancies,
Hmm.
right? That seems to hit harder, right?
Hmm.
For people that have had pregnancies mid or later 30s, they seem to hit perimenopause a little rougher too.
Yeah. So what are the things that obviously you're experiencing it? So I experienced through marriage
Yeah.
and through working with clients. But what are the things that you're noticing in your own body,
Yeah.
and maybe some of the things that you're finding that's helpful?
Sleep was a big one.
Mm. Yeah.
That's often, I mean, for me, that was kind of the first thing that went. And that's what I hear from most women is that their sleep quality
Mm.
declines real fast. And it is anxiety inducing to even talk about how bad sleep can be, much less reach out and get answers to fix that. Right. And when your sleep goes, your irritability increases, right? Your hunger increases, your patience decreases, right? When someone's not sleeping, nothing works.
I love how well you eloquently explain that. The fact of how asleep and trying to look at get an answer when you're so exhausted
Yeah.
almost creates a level of anxiety, almost
Totally.
overwhelm
Yeah.
to even seek for answers.
Yeah.
What are some of the tools and strategy you found is helpful to help people through that process? It really can regulate, get them back sleeping again.
Yeah. The first thing I do is your routines, right? It might sound really simple, but you got to get up in the morning and get some sunlight in your eyes,
Mm.
right? With this, I mean, there's still a lot of people working from home, but even office jobs, right? You get up in the dark, a little bit different maybe here in Winnipeg, right? But you drive to work in the dark, right? You're in an office all day. You're not seeing sunlight till mid-morning, right? You drive home in the dark and you've got screens and lights on. So something as simple as getting up and getting some sunlight, right?
I
If you
love
get
that.
an opportunity midday, again, right, go stand outside for a few minutes, take the dog for another walk, right? And then in the evenings, you've got to be real aware of what kind of light you're exposing yourself to, because all of those screens are stimulating. So
Yeah,
they
it's
are going
really
to
cool.
work the opposite of what you want.
Mm. That's so true because you think about how many people wake up first thing they do is look at a screen, or the
Yep.
last thing they do is look at a screen,
Yeah.
and just so much of our part of our life when it really wasn't really several 23 years ago,
No.
and how simple that is, but how powerful that can be for just regulating your nervous system. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. When you spend your evening trying to wind down from work and doing homework with the kids and figuring out household and marriage stuff, and then you get on your phone and you spend an hour watching news from all over the world, right? It whether you feel it in the moment, it triggers something in your system. And then we wonder why we can't relax and unwind and fall asleep. So that simple pattern of wake up without your phone, see the sunlight, right? Spend your evening without your phone, right? I mean, you can get as fancy as changing out all the lighting in your house, or you can get as simple as putting your phone away, bringing out a book, right? Doing a little bit of journaling, right? Chatting with your spouse or your kids, right? Some of those simple things can make a profound difference really quite quickly. So that's one of the things that I talk about all the time is what's your routine around sleep?
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you talk about this and how we are so tied to our electronics right now. And I
Yeah,
tell people all the time, there's a reason why you can be on your phone and lose track of time. It has to do
yes,
with the addictive psychology that's behind all addictions, and the food industry has used it for decades.
yeah,
Tobacco industry used it for decades.
yeah,
The phone industry is using it as well. Understand that willpower loses every time,
yeah,
so it's much easier to just remove the device
Yeah,
than it is to pretend like you're gonna only be on it for a couple minutes. And just understand it's not your fault. It's your
yeah,
physiology and your
yeah,
biology that's being used against you. So I love the fact that you have that conversation,
yeah,
and that it's critical for us to start doing, because if our children think this is normal,
yeah.
what are they going to be in 20, 30 years from now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The second thing that I'll talk a lot about when it comes to sleep is what have you eaten during the day? Are you loaded up on sugars? Are you not getting enough calories in? I know there's a protein kind of craze right now, so I do think that we need an adequate amount of protein. We don't want too much protein because that's causing a whole lot of other issues. But are you getting balanced meals during the day? Is your blood sugar stable, or are you spiking and crashing at night? Um, right, that 4, 5 a.m. wake up sometimes is blood sugar.
Yeah. So what are some of the things you have people do maybe that are doing that? Are there certain foods you ask them to get at night, or what should they maybe end their day with as far as food is concerned?
One of the big things for supper is get a protein in there, get a lot of fiber in there. So as
Mm.
many cooked greens as possible is one of my big things, right? Every time you can add cooked vegetables in there, your liver's going to love that, your gallbladder's going to love that. But get some good protein, get some good fiber. You want a little bit of fat in there, so whether you're cooking in ghee or butter, or whether you're putting some olive oil on, and you do want a little bit of a carb. You don't want a ton of carb at night, but that balance, right? Going back to the balance that we used to have is huge. I find that, again, going back to 20s, maybe even early 30s, some of those really quite restrictive diets could be really helpful. But hitting this age, it's not doing it. A balance, your body needs balance. So a balanced plate with a little bit of all those things at supper makes a huge difference.
Mm. That's powerful. I know with me when I'm working with clients, especially a lot of people aren't eating good fats, and it's a lot of people don't understand that their hormones come from fats.
Yeah.
So you have to have good type of fats in your diet to make good hormones,
Hmm.
including your stress hormones and including your sex hormones. Like you need those
Yeah.
good fats. So it makes sense to be able to like make sure you're having the right fats, even a little bit in that evening time to help
Yeah.
stabilize your blood sugar throughout the night. So that's actually really smart.
Yeah. Yeah. And then taking a look at your hormones and your thyroid. I love running hormone panels. I love running thyroid panels because you see all sorts of things. And when you look at the labs, you go, no wonder, right? When you run someone's hormones that aren't sleeping and their progesterone's bottomed out, their estrogen's fluctuating all over the place, right? Their testosterone's non-existent. No wonder they're not sleeping. If
One
they've
of the
got
things
thyroid,
Okay. The one thing I know that you and I both are really key on, a lot of people will come in and bring labs, whatever, and they said the doc said my labs are normal. I
yeah,
don't feel normal, but they
yeah.
say normal. Like maybe speak to that a second, just because I know that's something that I have to have that conversation with a lot.
Yeah, there's such a big difference between medical norms and nutritional optimal, right? Your doctor's assessing your lab work to make sure that you are alive, that there's no like actual disease going on in your body right now. But we know that we're meant to live way above that, right? I'm just not looking for disease free. I'm looking for feeling good, functioning well. So that's an entirely different assessment. So when you look at labs from a functional perspective, from an optimal perspective, you find all sorts of things that the doctor didn't pick up because they're not supposed to pick some of that stuff up. That's
Yeah.
our job to pick that up.
I love that you said it, because remember, disease you need to like make sure you don't have, but the vast majority of people don't have disease, but they have
Yeah,
a lot of dysfunction. So I love that.
yeah,
Running those panels, good sleep routine, good hygiene, adequate proteins
yeah,
in the evenings, awesome. What
yeah.
else do you have people work with when that comes to sleep?
Stress is a big one. Stress is a big one that I see with a lot of women. And I didn't necessarily see it quite as much when I first started in practice. Now, I don't know if that's just because I'm asking different questions and I'm getting older, right? Or if we're just living in a bit of a different time right now where we're just carrying a whole lot more than we used to. So, finding ways to process through some of the different emotions, some of the different stress is a hard one. But when you can process through that, when you can figure things out, when you can get different patterns going in your system, you get that deep sleep back.
Yeah. I love that you brought that up. And I have this conversation with a lot of people. Most people, like, they had education in a lot of things, but very few of us had education on stress management
Yeah,
or stress. And just so every single one of you are managing stress the way you know, the way you've
yeah,
been taught, the way you've been trained, and it may not be as efficient as you'd like it to be. We spend hours and tons of money learning how to do finance or learning how to learn a skill. Like, think how much time we spend into our kids when it comes to their activities. But how much time do you spend or money in learning stress management skills? So just because if you feel like you're struggling with it, understand that the world is more stressed now than ever before, partially because we know more and we're
yeah,
also exposed to way more. And your nervous system doesn't care if it's like in your own backyard or across the
yeah,
world. Your nervous system is trained to like avoid it.
yeah,
And I think it's critical that you develop some good habits. That's probably a good topic sometimes, just really focus on some stress management skills, but it is a key component.
yeah, yeah. What are some of the things that you see the biggest change in when it comes to stress management techniques, right? When the small things that add up real quick.
I think not having a plan is part of it. So for me, one of the key things that I tell people, if you can teach them one thing, teach them how to breathe.
Hmm.
Teach them how to breathe and set a routine, like you said at the beginning. You having people have a routine of, okay, look, I'm a wind down process. When we have babies, like I know with my little babies, we had a rule. Like, okay, they have this thing. You feed them at certain times. You bathe them at certain times. You have this whole routine of nighttime, so that you wind them down so they go to sleep. So your
Yeah,
life is not miserable.
yeah,
As adults, I have them do the same thing. You need sleep time, you need play time, you need
yeah,
food time,
yeah,
and you need that fun time. And that schedule is critical for your nervous system to never be on stress.
yeah,
So that's a key component. And if I do one thing, teach them to breathe. Like, you can
yeah.
do box breathing, you can do. And I teach them a couple real simple stress management skills.
Hmm.
Just that alone is helpful. I have
Yeah.
specific neurofeedback devices I use a lot with people,
Hmm.
but if you really feel like that's a key component to your stress, like, I would say spend some time, energy, and money
Yeah,
learning stress management, do yoga,
yeah,
um, intently, like, learn how to breathe.
yeah,
Like, if you, to me, one of the most stressful things you can imagine doing would be in the military, like a Navy SEAL.
yeah.
They teach the Navy SEALs how to box breathe, why they're putting them under stress. If it works in those scenarios and you can practice that,
Interesting.
you can learn to train your body.
Yeah, yeah. It's a learned technique like anything else.
Yeah, right now we're learning, like, our nervous systems are learning to stress. Like,
Yeah.
let's just, like, you're being trained. Like anything, if you start talking on your phone, you guys know 10 minutes later or 5 minutes later, you're gonna have different advertisements show up
Mhm.
based upon your need.
Yeah.
Understand that those algorithms are designed to sell you something. So you have to have a problem to have a need to purchase,
Yeah.
and just understand that's the game you're up against. So
Yeah.
having strategies and tools to work, like, okay, what's something I want to focus on? I think stress management is good. And the same thing is true with key nutritional things, like the habits and behaviors that you're speaking of. Like, hey,
Hmm.
let's create some good habits, but also the key nutrients that people don't get in their diet
Yeah.
have a drastic impact on how they regulate their stress, how well the body produces hormones.
Yeah.
And again, people are using what they know.
Yeah. Yeah. You talked about key nutrients for the body to function properly. Getting really simple here. Right, when you run a set of labs and someone's iron's low, their B12 is low. Right? No wonder they're anxious. No wonder their moods are low. Right? You look at a hormone panel again. Right? There's no testosterone. No wonder you've got no get up and go left in you. Right? Some of those things are really quite simple and require some really specific care. Right? To get things coming around. Right? B12 is often as simple as raising B12. Sometimes there's a little more to it than that. But when you bring up the levels in the body that are supposed to be there, it's amazing how things function better on a daily basis. Your body has the ability to respond to things a whole lot better.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting. I live in a desert in Arizona, and it's amazing what a little rain does. All right. Well, the same thing is true in your body. If it doesn't have the micro and macronutrients, it cannot perform its functions. And
Yeah.
I tell people there's a couple real simple things you can do. Like, your body, it has to have things to grow and to function. And and part of that is and the only thing your body gets to use is what you put into it.
Hmm.
So if you put a Twinkie in, that is all it has to use to make you. It's
Yeah.
all it has to use to make your hormones. It's all it has to use to make your bones, your skin, your ligaments. All right. So if you feel like, hey, I'm not feeling like I used to when I was younger, well,
Yeah.
some of it is demand, and
Yeah.
some of it is lack of nutrients.
Yeah.
And so I have a couple of real simple patterns. To me, it's like, hey, if I can regulate inflammation
Yeah.
and I can give my body the protein structure it needs to make me, which is collagen based,
Yeah.
and I can have a healthy gut,
Yeah.
then I'm going to have a massive improvement in my overall health.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about some of the specifics of that, right? Inflammation, oxidation, right? I mean, anyone that comes into my office, your office is going to be dealing with some degree of that.
Yeah.
And right in the world we live in and the stress we're dealing with, right? Even if you're eating good food these days isn't what good food used to be unless you're really hunting it down.
Yep.
So one of my favorite products has become the NRF2 product, the Nerf 2,
Yep.
because it deals with inflammation and oxidation and addresses the liver systemically in the system. So one of the things that I get asked when it comes to anti-aging or longevity or what are some key things I need now to prepare myself for the next 20, 30 years, that's become one of my go-tos.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that because if you breathe oxygen, you have oxidation. So I tell people oxidation is like bills to your budget. The more
Yeah,
bills you have, the more stressful it is. And if you can't pay all your bills, you have debt collectors.
yeah,
In your body, if you have too much oxidation, we call it oxidative stress, and there's a key genetic switch in your body called NRF2 that regulates your production of antioxidants like glutathione.
mhm,
And if you have that switch work correctly, your body can produce more of them. And the great thing about the Nerf 2 you're speaking of,
yeah,
that one we know from multiple clinical studies, it's been shown to extend lifespan in mammals by average of 7%, like in 10-year studies. Like
yeah,
it's been shown to increase your glutathione by 300% in all mammals. So to me, that is the foundation of what I want to put in my body that as specifically activates that switch. Because
yeah,
for you and I, like, yeah, eat your greens,
yeah,
drink your green tea, do the things that help your body, like have the good nutrients. But if you
yeah,
can do one thing to
yeah,
regulate inflammation, that's what I do every day.
yeah. And so much of what everyone is dealing with these days is inflammatory,
Yep.
right? Thyroiditis, right? You're talking about an inflamed thyroid, right? PCOS, we're talking inflammation, right? Even hitting again that kind of 40 mark, right? Where a lot of people will deal with GI inflammation that kind of came out of nowhere, histamine issues, right? It's all going back to inflammation in the system.
Yeah,
So,
every disease out there, no matter what it is, whether it's dysfunction or disease, its
yeah,
foundation is in itises,
yeah,
inflammation. So that's whether it's cancer, heart disease, diabetes, like it's all related to that. So that's the one key component I would always do
yeah,
was is to regulate that switch. And whatever you're using, if you're not getting the results you want, I would consider looking at that Nerf 2
yeah,
as a valid option
yeah,
to maximize your body's genetic potential. Because people say, well, when I hit 35 or I hit 40, that I started having all these problems. Well, it just meant that they were
yeah,
no longer keeping up with the bills.
yeah,
And when that happened, you're going to start paying it, and you're going to pay the piper and eventually have problems. So that's
yeah,
a key component. And then the second one I think specifically for me is an activated collagen
yeah,
because like basically most of us our human body is made of collagen.
yeah,
Anything that stretches, bends, or supports, including your bones, skin, hair, and nails, and your
yeah,
organs, and your blood-brain barrier, all of that's made of collagen structures, over 20 different types. If you're
yeah,
not eating those protein structures, and if you have an unhealthy digestive system to absorb them,
yeah,
you're gonna age faster than you want to.
yeah, yeah. What one of the I mean, you see a lack of collagen walking around, right?
Hmm.
When you're talking hair loss, hair thinning, right, wrinkles, skin issues, joint issues, GI issues. You see it everywhere.
Yeah, you do. And the thing about collagen people, you see it and you feel it. I know for you specifically, I remember we'd had that conversation how you started
Yeah,
feeling some of those things. So maybe share that a
yeah,
little bit. That's kind of fascinating because this happens all the time.
yeah,
Is that you? And again, you do so much right. That's the thing is like Sarah and I, we are lucky enough and have kind of paid the price enough to where we study all sorts of stuff, and so we can buy all sorts of supplements because we're exposed to like thousands of different types.
yeah,
But the ones we're going to tell you about, those are the ones we use,
Yeah.
because like I want results,
Yeah.
and I'm not getting younger chronologically, but
Yeah.
biologically I am. So maybe
Yeah.
kind of talk through what you experienced. I thought it's really kind of fascinating.
Yeah, I had Natalie when I had just turned 36 when I had her. So we're already talking about like a little on the kind of edge of already hormonal shifts, right? And
Hmm.
then you throw in pregnancy and postpartum on top of that. And my hair fell out like I could not believe. I've always had incredibly thick hair. I went into pregnancy thinking this would be no problem, right? If I lose a little, not a big deal, you won't even notice.
Hmm.
Holy moly, did I notice? And I panicked because no matter what supplement I took for hair, no matter what collagen I had tried, it didn't work. Nothing worked for me. So I was getting to the point, I think I was about a year postpartum where I was panicking about my hair. And we talked,
Hmm.
and you pointed me in the direction of a completely different collagen. And I'm not quite gonna get it right. It was less than a month. I want to say it was less than a month, and my hair stopped falling out. It was that quick, and I wasn't even using anywhere near a full dose of it. There's cute little glass bottles. It tastes amazing, and I think I was using a tablespoon, which is a real small dose. And I think it was 3 weeks, and the
Yeah.
hair loss completely stopped. Right. And I mean, just the other week, I got my hair thinned out, right? Because it's thick and growing back, and it's like it was when I was in my
And that was only what,
20s.
a couple of years ago?
Natalie was about 1.
Okay,
She's
so
about to
3.
turn 4.
Yeah. Yeah, and I still remember that. This is kind of how it happens. Like, when we ourselves struggle, we reach out to people that we have known and like are in the same field as us.
Yeah.
And I was exposed to that collagen, and again, I had people like take collagen for decades, and I just
Yeah.
never consistently saw results. Like
No,
we know,
me
we know
neither.
we need collagen in our body. If you don't eat the
Yeah.
skin of fish regularly, guys, you're deficient. Just so you know.
Yeah.
And I remember like, learning about this college and say, okay, well, it's activated. What that means is when you and start looking at this when you're coming to supplements that you're taking, there are supplements which are for deficiencies,
Yeah.
and then there are activators that turn on the production of the genes that
Yeah.
regulate the production of. So
Yeah.
this is an activated liquid collagen, and she was taking 1/3 the normal dose. So normal dose is like 3 tablespoons, and she was doing 1/3.
Yeah.
So it's not always quantity; it
Yeah.
has to do with quality and absorbability.
Yes.
And I knew that would help her because I had seen other people, my wife
Yeah.
included, where we had done a lot of right things, where she was having these Achilles tendonitis and stuff, and I'd work on her, and she was taking call and other things. Within a short period of time, a couple of weeks, she started on that, gone. And
Yeah.
that's, my wife's amazing. She doesn't love taking supplements, which I mean, some people don't. That's
Yeah.
one thing she will never miss because of how different her body feels on it.
Yeah.
So to me, that's an absolute game changer for
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And that what I love, he said, "Hey, I noticed my hair quit falling out, which is stabilized."
Yeah.
That, and many people have Hashimoto's or thyroiditis.
Yeah.
This collagen with that nerve two, we know it
Yeah.
regulates the immune response, which
Yeah.
happens with a lot of people. That they
Yes.
start having these autoimmune conditions,
Yeah.
where that's where we start having like skin issues or the rashes and the
Yeah.
eczemas, and then we start having the bone breakdown, then we have like hair falling out.
Yeah.
That's why it works so well.
Yeah. And you can see it in the lab work,
Hmm.
right? You run the labs, and then 3, 4 months later, you rerun them, and like there are marked differences,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is, I mean,
I love seeing that pattern. That's part of it with us.
yeah,
Like, it's you want to help your people the most, right? I want
yeah,
to help everybody, but like when
yeah,
it's my kid or my family, like what do we got to do, right? So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Not perimenopause related, but what I found really quite interesting with the collagen for is growing pains.
Hmm.
So I'm 5'1". My husband is 6'5", right? My daughter has my husband's legs. So she is over half my height already. So her growth has been nonstop, right? I'm constantly buying new shoes, and 2 months later buying new shoes. Anyway, so she's had some growing pains, right?
Hmm.
And I have worked really hard to get really nutrient dense food into her because of the rate that she's growing.
Hmm.
So, I mean, we've had her doing liver, and like she was good with all of it. But the one thing that made a massive difference in probably a few days was giving her some collagen.
Hmm.
I mean, she loves it, right? She sees the bottle, she hears them, she comes running, she wants her own.
Yeah.
But I was really quite amazed at how the collagen worked for growing pains. I hear no complaints anymore, ever.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So people don't realize this, that people think bone like is calcium. Yes, but it's more collagen than calcium. And
Yes.
it's a fascinating to see. So that's actually one of my go-tos with that. I just had a
Yeah.
lady this week. She's 73, I think now. She was several years ago diagnosed with osteoporosis, which means bone
Yeah.
loss.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, like then they had her on some meds. And it's just like this feel horrible. And I said, well,
Yeah.
if you really want to change this, we got to start rebuilding your bone, which means you got to start doing these exercises. I have her using what's called whole body vibration, and she goes to a gym and does it 5 days a week, 5 days, 6 days a week, and she's super methodical
Awesome.
and take the collagen. I mean, she's
Yeah.
on a limited budget.
Yeah.
Right. But she's done it. So she went this last year from osteopenic to from osteoporosis to osteopenic and improving. And that you
That's
don't typically
amazing.
see happen.
No.
And she did I feel great. She put on 10 pounds of muscle at a 72,
Amazing.
73-year-old.
Amazing.
So it doesn't matter how old you are, older or younger,
Yeah.
your body has to have collagen.
Yeah. Yeah. You might get quicker results the younger you are,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, such cool stories with that collagen. I could spend a lot of time talking about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And one of the things I tell people, like, understand, like, when you're feeling things, you're past the point of being optimal.
Yeah.
If you're feeling things, it means there's so much dysfunction gone on to where it's affecting your daily life.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean it
A-
has to be that way,
yeah.
but I'd say you got to change what you're doing.
Yeah. Achy joints in your 40s isn't okay.
Oh,
Right? That's far too young. Right? If we've got 73-year-olds reversing disease in at 40, you should be able to move really well.
yeah. So if you've been told that you're just age, you know what? I would say not always. Majority of the
Mhm.
time, not. It just had to do with what you've been doing. And there are
Yeah.
situations where there's going to be, but I don't think there's anybody that couldn't be improved to a certain extent
Yeah.
if you change what you're doing.
Yeah. So one of my other really I've come to really love this product, but is NAD.
Mhm.
It's an absolute go-to. It was a game changer for me, and it's one of my biggest go-tos for 40 plus is NAD.
So maybe tell them what NAD is. Like a lot of people, you'll hear about this. You'll hear this NAD. You heard a lot of it during COVID time where they would do NAD IVs. But maybe give people an idea what that is.
It's your mitochondrial energy. So your cells require it to function properly, to have the ability to heal, recover, adapt. One of the big things that I hear from people is I don't have the ability to adapt anymore, right? A stressor takes me out. A cold takes me out for weeks, right? It's like it takes forever to get my energy back up from it, right? They've lost that cellular energy that their body needs to get up and get going and do things again.
I love how you said that. So that ability to adapt, that is stress. So
Yeah,
stress is how well do you adapt?
yeah,
That's your ability to handle stress. And that NAD, actually I have a bottle here. I was looking at it, but they if you without NAD, your body can't make energy. If you can't make energy, the cell dies.
yeah,
It either changes, which is not good, or dies.
yeah. So NAD levels tend to decline. What is it? I think it's mid 30s. They tend to decline.
Mhm.
So if you're not actively doing things to support that, you're going to feel that in a few years, right? When a cold would take you out for 2 or 3 days and you'd be back at it, right? You're now out for 5 or 6 days and you're a couple weeks recovering. That's a big deal.
So think about that. If you feel like, hey, I feel like I'm not repairing like I used to,
Yeah,
assess what you're doing
yeah,
and let's make some changes.
yeah,
If you're doing great, awesome. Like I say, I'd rather work with people that never have a problem, which I have a few of those.
yeah,
But my goal is let's get you feeling great, and then find the routine to where you're focusing on like improving.
Yeah. A big thing that I'll hear is fatigue. I'm tired. I'm
Mhm.
tired
Yeah.
all the time. It doesn't matter how much sleep I get. It doesn't matter how much rest I get. I'm tired. Right? A few stressors during the day and I'm out. And you get NAD going in their system. And it's a matter of months. And they usually come back and say, my energy is back up. I'm feeling more like myself again.
Yeah.
Right? I've got a bigger capacity. Or I've got the capacity I should have would probably be the better language.
I love how you're addressing that, and I like what you said. Like, in a matter of a few months, like a lot of people, like they want to feel something immediate overnight. Like the majority of diseases or disease, it happens over time, and the person, I just don't
Yeah,
feel good.
yeah,
No matter what you're doing in health, whether it's or even a relationship, like when you start making these little changes,
yeah.
those little changes will add to your bank account or take away from.
Hmm.
And I love that you just put it so nicely. And over time, as your body has more energy, what that tells you, it has enough extra to say, "Hey, I'm okay doing more now." Because if you're tired, your body's making you tired because you're going to hurt yourself more.
Yeah,
So the NAD is critical for that. It helps your body make energy, and it helps with what we call autophagy, which
yeah,
is that's the cleanup. Like, imagine if moms weren't around, like the house would be so messy, especially with little people around. The moms, like NAD, make sure the cell cleans up. Because
that
if it's
analogy.
cleaned up, it functions better. The house functions better. You don't have to step over things. You don't trip on things.
Yeah,
And that's what NAD is part of because
yeah,
it modulates what's called sirtuins, and that's all part of that process, which is cellular cleanup.
yeah.
And I love it because like people know this is intermittent fast.
Hmm.
The NAD helps your body like intermittent fasting does.
Yeah. So when I get asked, right, when it comes to some of these products or even some of the meal plans we talked about, how long do I have to do this for?
Hmm.
And my answer is, how long do you want to feel good for?
Hmm.
How
Yeah.
long? I mean, if you eat a balanced meal for 6 months, do you really want to go back to what you were doing before that didn't work? And when you start taking some different products and go, wow, my body is functioning better, do you really want to go back? Right? When you figure out that, and we didn't touch on this, but I got to lift weights instead of just do cardio, you go, ah, my shape is changing. Do you really want to stop and go back to running? No.
I was just in my head. I was just thinking I could see you having this conversation with your clients, and just like thinking, what do you mean you want to stop? You
Yeah,
want to stop what's working?
yeah,
And I think about that. Probably my wife's like something like we got to find what works, right? But
yeah,
like imagine like I'm nice for a day, or a week or a month, right? And then all of a sudden I revert back to not being nice. Like your body needs constant nourishment.
yeah.
And I love the fact, so find what works, make little simple changes, and understand like you may be using old technology. That's what I learned with when it comes to college and with you. Like that you were using the tools you knew.
Mm-hmm,
What we're hoping you guys gain from this is understand there's no secrets, that there are
mm-hmm,
certain laws that govern health. If
mm-hmm.
you feel like you're going the wrong direction, let's make some very specific tweaks. Apply current technology to the products you're using in your body.
Yeah,
Understand the game you're playing against is that the cell phone industry, the tobacco industry, the food industry is not your friend.
mm-hmm,
And just because you like it and it tastes good, it makes you feel crappy and you want more of it, means that there's a chemical in it or something in it making you craving it. So you be more of a slave to it.
yeah,
Let's just be honest with that and say, okay, let's find the tools that allow you to have the performance that you want so
mm-hmm,
you can live the life you're designed to live and
yeah,
have that control that you want.
yeah, yeah. Women are supposed to feel strong and healthy and confident. They're not supposed to have foggy brains. They're not supposed to be walking through life feeling half numb and stressed out. Right? That's not normal. That's not good. Right? Optimal design is energy and joy and peace. And it comes from a body that is nourished properly.
I love that you've been willing to have this conversation. I know it'll help a lot of people, and we're hoping that you guys will share this with other people.
Yeah.
and know that it's possible. I think that's one of my greatest joys and almost some of my greatest sadness is when people come in and they struggle for sometimes years and sometimes decades
Yeah.
just because they didn't know there were another way, and no one really spoke the truth to them,
Mhm.
thinking we could manage this with medications or whatever, as opposed to like what if we make some changes? And so I love that and I love the fact that you lived that, Sarah. Like I know you've had your own health journey,
Yeah.
you've helped hundreds of thousands of people with their journey, and I love that you do that.
Yeah. I mean, when you've felt not good, right, and you figured out how to feel better, all you want to do is get everyone else on the same path, right? Everyone else feeling good, right? There's hope. There's always hope. Yeah. So thank you for having this conversation with me, right? It's fun to go back and forth and just get some different perspectives and much more knowledge than I have on some of these topics.
But she's lived it, guys. Like so, I had a guy that wouldn't pretend that, and maybe throw in the chat, guys, or I mean, message one of us like, what are some topics you'd love to hear more about? I know that I think from this conversation, maybe a little more about stress and the tools you can use around that to
Yeah,
improve that, and we'll get better at this Instagram thing and maybe get on time a little bit. We tried, but we little goof. It's probably because Canada's mad at us today. That's probably what it was. So.
could be.
Yeah. But I appreciate you so much. And I love the fact that you live it, and that you teach your family to live it. Like and that's really what matters. And so you're just a joy to work with. So I look forward to doing this again sometime.
Yeah, I do as well. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, guys, have a good night.
See you.
Bye, Sarah.